All right, I got bad news for Eagles fans and fantasy football managers, okay? Do not expect another dominant season from Saquon Barkley. And you're saying, Trey, how can you say that? They have a loaded team. They have arguably the best offensive line in football. He's healthy. Why not? History. For more on this, we're joined by Mark Schlereth. Mark, not only did Saquon become the 9th member of the 2,000-yard club last season, when he could have had a chance to break the record set by Eric Dickerson, but he didn't play in the regular season finale, and that was the right call. I will die on that hill because it ended with the Super Bowl championship for the Eagles. He's the first 2,000-yard rusher to then have to play 3 playoff games after that season. All right? You know what it's like to block for a 2,000-yard rusher. Can you explain to people, just from a standpoint of physicality, what that does to somebody when they go into the next season? Because I have the numbers.
Yeah, it wears you out. And obviously, the other thing you have to understand is to get to that level, it's not usually right out the gate, right? It's not like, hey, my first year, I'm a rookie and I go for 2,000 yards. You have to learn the pace of running in the National Football League. You have to learn that it's not college. You can't break them out all the time. You've got to take those nasty 2, 3, 4 yard runs. Mike Tomlin said this to me in a meeting, and it stuck with me. It resonated with me. Talking about the running game, he goes, "Not every meal is a smorgasbord. Sometimes you
Yeah.
got to eat an appetizer,
Yep.
and you have to eat appetizers. And the appetizers are the things that wear you out, not the 70-yard run. It's those 2-yard runs. And look at the Super Bowl. Like, I love the attempts they got him, but Saquon averaged about 2.6 yards per carry in the Super Bowl.
The Chiefs were determined to not let Saquon beat them, and they didn't. And Jalen Hurts said, "I'll do it."
Yeah, and so they did a really good job with that. But those are the runs, the cumulative damage that you do to your body in those mosh pit piles, right? You're taking shots, you're doing all that stuff. And so normally for a guy when he hits 2000, there's a culmination of not only we're good up front, but I have really learned like where my entry point is, where the mesh point is, what the weakness and the strength of this defense is. And now I adjust as a running back, right? And so you've already taken a beating like Terrell Davis. When I blocked for Terrell, his first year, he went for 1,100 yards. His second year, he went for 1,400 yards. His third year, he went for 1,700 yards. Then his fourth year, we got him to 2,000. And then the next year he tears his ACL and he's never the same. It just is that it's that cumulative wear and tear as you're learning like NFL blocking schemes and what you have to do, and you're picking your spots and you're doing all that stuff. That just takes its toll on your body. And especially when you go all the way to the world championship and you win a Super Bowl, man, you're playing an extra month over everybody else. It does wear you out.
Listen, again, this show is about data. It's not about opinions. It's not about what we think. It's about what happens. Okay. So I'm going to read to you again. Saquon is the 9th member of the 2,000-yard club. Here are the previous 8 members of the 2,000-yard club and what happened the year after they ran for 2,000 yards. We'll start with the first one. OJ, just talking football. After his 2,000-yard season in 14 games, so by far still the greatest single rushing season in the history of the NFL. I will not entertain any other things. 2,003 yards in 14 games. So just stop.
Crazy.
In 74, he rushed for 1125. But here's where the biggest difference is for me. His 2,000-yard rushing season, he averaged 6 yards a carry. 74, the next year, 4.2. The next one's Eric Dickerson. In 1984, he set the record. What did he do in 1985 after 2,100 plus in 84? In 85, he ran for 1,200 yards, 1,234. But he went from 5.6 yards a carry to 4.2. The next was Barry Sanders. Okay. After his 97 season, 98, he ran for 1,481 yards, still very good, but his yards per carry went from 6.1 to 4.3. 6.1 to 4.3. And then the next year, the Lions got to him and he quit. Then the next guy in the list is your guy, TD. Shout out for Matt Lepsis for cutting his ACL and an interception return. He went from 5.1 to 3.1 and only played 3 games because he tore his ACL on someone on an interception return, basically. So that's what happened there. Jamal Lewis, the next one. He ran from 2000 to 2003. In 2004, barely over 1,000 yards, 5.3 versus 4.3. Chris Johnson ran for 2,000 yards in 2009, 5.6 yards per carry. The next season, 4.3. Adrian Peterson in 2012 almost set the record, 2013, 186 yards, 6 yards per carry, down to 4.5 yards per carry. And Derrick Henry in 2021 only played 8 games because of injury, went from 5.5 yards a carry to 4.3 yards a carry. So if you are an Eagles fan, or if you are someone drafting Saquon number 1 overall in your draft, understand you're not getting what you saw last year. It is not going to happen. All the data says you're probably going to run for a yard and a yard and a half less per carry. And that is a significant thing. And that's why I believe in Howie Roseman. He probably knows this. And so that's why he's already doing all these moves. He knows they're not going to have the same explosive type plays, which separated them because of Saquon last year. They're going to have to do it a different way. You're not going to get that same kind of season from Saquon Barkley. You're just not going to happen.
Yeah. I think there's some unwritten things that happen too that nobody will talk about throughout the NFL. But when you get a 2,000-yard rusher and you dominate like the Philadelphia Eagles did, they tend to start scrutinizing some of your blocking schemes.
Correct.
And I just remember after Terrell's 2,000-yard season in 1999, things that used to not get called holding got called holding on run plays, and some things that we used to like, well, that's standard operating procedure. It did feel like it did feel like the NFL kind of ratcheted some things down on us a little bit. Like, some of the things you guys are doing, you're not going to get to do those things anymore. So I do feel like there's some of that. Obviously, everybody has all the film. All the teams have all the film. Like, there's a bunch of teams you didn't play. So the teams this year coming into it are going to look at that tape that Kansas City put together in the Super Bowl to shut you down there. Like, everybody tries to do it. He'll still pop some big runs. He'll still do those things. But I'm 100% with you, man. Just the wear and tear, the adjustment the rest of the league makes, the league adjustment, on things you could get away with that you're not going to get away with this year. All those things factor into those, that decline in yards per carry status.
And again, I think it's really important to point out none of those other 2,000-yard rushers made it to the Super Bowl. So not only are we talking about the wear and tear of a 2,000-yard season, we're talking about 3 extra games that Saquon Barkley had to play. So all that data putting in, what would you consider a successful season for Saquon Barkley as a player?
Oh, I'm telling you,
1,500 yards, 1,400 yards?
Yeah, if you're around 12 to 1,400 yards, somewhere in there, that's what, to me, that was still running the ball effectively. You're still setting up your play action. You're still setting up your ability to have your quarterback be involved in the run game on the zone read stuff because you're still such a prominent player. Like, all that stuff is important. So he does 1,300 yards next year and 9 TDs or whatever. That's going to be they'll be right back in the thick of things.
Yeah, and again, we want to be clear. We're not saying Saquon is going to be a worse player. We're not saying Saquon has declined. We're saying it's inevitable based on the data. We don't do feelings here. We don't do hot takes or this is what I think because it will engage people. That's not what we're doing. We're just telling you the data. All the data tells you that the numbers for Saquon are going to go down. So plan accordingly and just accordingly. And that is just straight facts, homie.